dear dreamer, to a world where clouds whisper ancient secrets and the winds carry songs of forgotten skies. Tonight, we follow Elara, wanderer of realms and keeper of light, as she lifts her gaze toward the horizon, stepping beyond the garden and into the sky. If this story brings you peace and wonder, remember to like the video and subscribe so your dreams can always find their way back to the stars. Now close your eyes, take a gentle breath, and let us drift into the story. Journey through the clouds. Part 1. The sky beyond the garden. The morning after Elara left the Garden of Eternal Whispers was unlike any she had known. The air shimmered with a pale gold hue, and a wind as soft as breath brushed past her cheeks, carrying faint melodies from unseen heights. The world beneath her felt distant now, as if the very earth had exhaled her toward something greater. She stood at the edge of a silver plateau, where the ground seemed to end and the sky began. Far above, enormous white shapes floated across the heavens, drifting islands of mist and stone, their undersides glowing faintly like lanterns. She had heard tales of the cloud realms, a place said to exist between dreams and dawn, but she had never imagined they were real. At her side, the small crystal orb she carried, once a seed of light from the garden, pulsed softly in rhythm with her heart. "It seems," she whispered, smiling, "that you want to go higher too." As she stepped forward, the wind gathered around her feet like playful ribbons. The light beneath her shimmered, bending the air into ripples, and before she could blink, the ground vanished. Elara gasped. The world tilted, and she was rising, the wind lifting her gently upward, as if unseen hands guided her ascent. The landscape below melted into a watercolor of green and silver. She was weightless, carried into the open blue. When she finally steadied, she found herself standing on a bridge of light. A path woven from pure, translucent threads connecting two distant clouds. The sight took her breath away. Towers of vapor drifted lazily nearby, glowing like crystal spires in the sun. Birds with luminous wings circled her, their feathers scattering glints of rainbow light. "Welcome, traveler," came a voice, soft yet clear, like the chime of a bell in the wind. Elara turned. Hovering nearby was a figure shaped of clouds and light, not solid, yet not illusion either. Its face was kind, its form ever-shifting, flowing between shapes like water through fingers. "Who are you?" Elara asked, steadying herself. "I am Oral," the figure replied, "guardian of the lower sky. Few from the earth ever rise this far. The wind itself must have chosen you." Elara bowed slightly, uncertain if customs extended to beings of air. "I didn't mean to intrude. I only followed where the light led." Oral's laughter rippled through the air like sunlight over waves. "Then, perhaps the light remembers something the sky forgot. Come, you'll need guidance if you wish to reach the celestial archipelago." The what? Elara asked, tilting her head. The drifting isles where the oldest echoes of the wind dwell, Oral explained, and where the temple of storms keeps the secrets of flight. Many who seek it fall before they find it. The path is beautiful, but never safe. A thrill stirred within Elara's chest, not fear, but the old hunger for discovery that had driven her since the day she found the lantern of the Forgotten Realms. I'll take the risk, she said. I've come this far. I want to see the world above the clouds. The guardian studied her, its gaze both ancient and gentle. Then follow the windline, child of light. And remember, the higher one flies, the thinner the truth becomes. Before she could ask what that meant, Oral dissolved into the air, leaving behind a faint shimmer that outlined the path ahead. A thread of silver light winding into the horizon. Elara began her ascent across the luminous bridge. The air grew cooler, crisp with a sweetness that filled her lungs like music. Beneath her, the clouds drifted and folded, revealing flashes of land far below, forests, rivers, and the shimmering edge of the garden she had left behind. As she walked, she began to notice strange shapes forming within the mist. Silhouettes of long-forgotten places, towers of light, faces that smiled and vanished when she blinked. The clouds remembered. She realized they carried memories, echoes of what once was. Then, without warning, the path trembled. A shadow passed over her, vast and silent. Elara looked up. Something enormous drifted above her, half hidden in the glare of the sun. A shape like a great whale made of thunderclouds, with glowing eyes and trails of lightning curling along its sides. The air buzzed with power. The sky Leviathan, Elara whispered, recalling the stories. A creature that swam the tempests when the world was still young. It turned slowly, its eye meeting hers for a brief, unblinking moment. And then it sang. The sound was unlike anything she'd ever heard. A low, haunting note that trembled through her bones and made the bridge quiver. The light beneath her feet wavered. The orb at her side flared, reacting, pulsing wildly. Elara, a distant voice called. Oral's tone carried on the wind. Don't resist, let it test you. She gasped as the bridge gave way, and she fell, spinning through clouds that tore around her like waves. Down, down she plunged, until the light burst from her orb in a brilliant flare, wrapping her in a cocoon of shimmering energy. The fall slowed, her descent turning to a soft drift through layers of mist. When she finally stopped, she found herself standing on the back of the Leviathan itself. The creature's hide was smooth and luminous, like glass filled with moonlight. Great ridges of cloud rose around her, forming natural steps and arches. She could feel the slow, steady pulse of life beneath her feet, each beat echoing like a drum through the vast sky. Why bring me here? She whispered to the wind. The Leviathan's eye turned toward her again, vast, golden, filled with storms and galaxies. A spark of lightning rippled across its iris. And within that flash, Elara saw a vision. A grand city floating upon the highest winds, its towers carved from crystal clouds, and at its heart, a throne of pure light, empty and waiting. Then the vision vanished. The Leviathan let out a slow, rumbling breath, and with a gentle roll, began to ascend higher. Elara stood steady, her heart racing. Whatever lay ahead, this was no longer a journey of chance. The skies themselves had chosen her. As the creature rose, the air turned to gold. Small islands of floating stone passed by, adorned with trees whose leaves shimmered like glass. Wind spirits darted between them, whispering greetings in languages older than stars. Elara knelt and pressed her hand to the Leviathan's surface. The orb pulsed once more, and she felt warmth not from the sun, but from within her. A knowing, a connection. For the first time since she left the earth, she felt truly weightless, not just in body, but in heart. Far above, she could already see it. A distant arc of light, shaped like wings, spread wide across the horizon. The celestial archipelago, she murmured, and deep within her, something stirred. A sense that what awaited there was more than discovery. It was destiny. Part 2. The Isles of Whispering Storms. The Leviathan moved through the sky like a drifting mountain. Each slow motion of its colossal form rippled the air into currents that shimmered with light. From her place upon its back, Elara gazed into the horizon. A boundless ocean of cloud stretched endlessly before her, tinted gold by the sun. At first, the silence felt peaceful. But as they climbed higher, the color of the clouds began to shift. The white became silver, then ash gray, until the air itself seemed to hum with tension. She felt it before she heard it, the subtle vibration of thunder, the breath of an approaching storm. The Leviathan let out a low, rumbling sound, not in fear, but in recognition. Then, with a graceful motion, it began to slow its ascent. Below them, shadowed islands floated within spiraling winds, each one vast, covered in forests of silver-leaved trees that shimmered under distant lightning. A voice echoed through the air, like thunder speaking in words. The Isles of Whispering Storms. The trial of the winds begins. Elara's heart raced. She tightened her grip on the orb at her side as the Leviathan descended, lowering her gently onto the largest island. The ground beneath her feet was soft, made not of earth, but condensed cloud, solid enough to walk upon, yet weightless as mist. As soon as she stepped forward, the air shifted again. Whispered words floated around her, carried by the swirling breeze. She couldn't understand them, but they stirred memories, laughter, tears, forgotten songs. The storm, she realized, was alive. Lightning cracked far away, illuminating a colossal shape, a spire of wind and vapor rising into the sky. At its peak flickered a light, like a star trapped within the storm. That must be it, she murmured, the heart of the isle. Her path wound through strange landscapes, fields of glowing mist, waterfalls made of vapor, trees that bent as though listening. Each gust of wind seemed to test her, pressing against her steps, tugging at her cloak, urging her to turn back. But Elara pressed on. The orb pulsed softly in her hand, resonating with the air around her. When she held it high, it glowed, scattering the winds like ripples in water. Then a voice broke through the whispers, not soft and distant, but near and sharp. "You do not belong here." Elara froze. Before her, the mist parted to reveal a figure tall, cloaked in swirling clouds, with eyes like silver storms. The wind bent around them, as if the air itself obeyed their will. "Who are you?" she asked, stepping forward. "I am Kayles," the figure replied, "keeper of the Tempest Gate. None pass to the archipelago without the blessing of the storms." Elara felt the weight of his gaze, ancient, fierce, and sorrowful. "Then let me earn it." Kayles tilted his head, intrigued. "You would challenge the sky itself. I've faced shadows beneath the earth and spirits of forgotten light," she said, her voice steady. "I will face whatever the wind demands." A slow smile crossed the Stormkeeper's lips. "Then listen, Earthborn child. The test is not of strength, but of surrender." He raised a hand. The sky darkened instantly, swirling into a vortex of cloud and thunder. Bolts of lightning arced across the horizon. The wind howled, and the ground beneath Elara began to tremble. "Enter the heart of the storm," Kaylee said. "Only those who can hear its true voice will emerge." Before she could answer, the winds surged, lifting her from the ground and sweeping her toward the great spire at the center of the isle. She tumbled through torrents of lightning and mist, her cloak whipping violently. The orb light flickered, struggling against the storm's fury. The wind roared around her, not as one voice, but as many, each whispering fragments of truth. "Let go. Listen. Remember." Elara closed her eyes, reaching within. For a moment, she felt fear, raw and cold. But then she remembered Oral's words. "The higher one flies, the thinner the truth becomes." Maybe this storm wasn't meant to destroy. Maybe it was meant to reveal. She loosened her grip on the orb and opened her palms. Instead of fighting, she allowed the wind to carry her. The storm's sound changed, no longer a roar, but a harmony. The thunder softened into rhythm. The lightning no longer struck, but danced, weaving around her like ribbons of light. In that stillness, a memory surfaced. She was back in the garden of eternal whispers, watching petals rise into the air as if carried by invisible wings. She remembered the gentle voice of the garden spirit. "You will find the path when you stop trying to see it." When Elara opened her eyes, the storm had calmed. She stood at the center of the spire, a circular platform of shining cloud. Above her, the lightning gathered into a spiral, forming a radiant symbol of light. And from it descended a single fragment, a crystal feather glowing with soft blue fire. She reached out, and it floated into her hand. The air stilled. The storm had accepted her. Kaylee's appeared beside her, his form gentler now. The fierce wind around him stilled. "You listened," he said simply. "And so the storm will carry your name." "What is this?" she asked, gazing at the feather. "The first sigil of the sky," he replied. "The mark of trust between the wind and those who walk among it. With this, the way to the archipelago opens." As he spoke, the sky above them parted, revealing a vast expanse of light. Through it, she could see islands suspended like stars, each radiating a different hue. One of gold, one of sapphire, one of rose. "The celestial archipelago," Kaylee said softly. "But beware, Elara. Every realm above the earth reflects something hidden below. The higher you climb, the deeper your shadow becomes." Elara looked toward the open heavens. "Then I'll keep my lantern burning." Kaylee smiled faintly, and the winds gathered beneath her once more. The Leviathan appeared in the distance, circling patiently as if waiting for her to return. The Stormkeeper lifted a hand in farewell. "Go, wanderer of light. The skies remember those who listen." Elara stepped onto the Leviathan's back once more, the crystal feather glowing softly in her hand. As the creature ascended, the storm faded below, replaced by the soft hues of twilight. Above, the first of the floating isles grew larger, glowing like a city sculpted from moonlight and rain. Bridges of vapor connected the islands, and shapes moved across them. Figures with wings of wind and armor of glass. The air shimmered with energy, filled with the hum of unseen forces. Elara held the feather to her chest, feeling its pulse join with her own. She didn't know what awaited her in the archipelago, only that the journey was far from over. The wind brushed her hair, and she smiled. "Onward then," she whispered. "Let's see what secrets the clouds still hide." The Leviathan sang, a deep, resonant tone that echoed through the skies, and together they vanished into the light. Part 3. The City of Wings. The Leviathan's song faded into silence, and for a heartbeat, all the world seemed to disappear. Elara drifted through endless white, not falling, not flying, only floating. The light around her pulsed like the rhythm of a sleeping heart, and she could still feel the Leviathan's presence, distant yet near, like a melody carried by memory. When her eyes opened again, she found herself lying on soft, luminous clouds. The air shimmered with color, pale gold, deep sapphire, and violet hues shifting like waves across the sky. Her glider rested beside her, its wings folded neatly as though waiting for her to wake. Above her, the heavens curved in vast, moving layers, and in their midst, something extraordinary glimmered in the distance. A city, not one bound by earth or stone, but a city of wind and light, suspended upon invisible currents. Towers rose like crystal feathers, their tips glowing with captured sunlight. Bridges of mist arched between them, and delicate structures floated freely, anchored only by the rhythm of the breeze. Elara's breath caught. "The city of wings," she whispered. The wind stirred in reply, gentle, almost approving, and a trail of golden dust spiraled through the air, leading her forward. She stepped lightly onto the mist bridge, her boots leaving faint ripples in the translucent surface. The closer she drew to the city, the more alive it seemed. Music drifted through the air, like flutes made from wind, and great winged shadows soared above her, their feathers scattering light in soft cascades. Then one of those shadows descended. He landed gracefully before her, a tall figure with human features, but wings of radiant white, eyes reflecting the dawn. His expression was calm yet curious, as though he had been expecting her. "You are not one of us," he said softly, his voice carrying an undertone of the breeze itself. "And yet, the winds do not resist you. How did you come to our sky?" Elara hesitated. "The storm brought me here, or perhaps the wind itself did." The winged figure smiled faintly. "Then it has chosen you. I am Aaron, a windkeeper. Come, traveler of light, the council will want to see you." He guided her through the floating city. Everywhere she looked, life moved in gentle harmony with the air. Luminous creatures glided between towers, and the inhabitants, both winged and human, shaped the wind as though it were clay. Some wove translucent fabric that rippled into kites. Others sculpted soft light into moving art. "The city of wings was born from a promise," Aaron said, as they crossed an arch of glowing air. "Our ancestors once walked the earth, but when the storms grew wild, they sought refuge above. They built this city with the blessing of the skies." Elara's gaze wandered over the breathtaking expanse. "It's beautiful, but it feels lonely." Aaron's smile faded slightly. "It is. The winds grow thinner each century. Our home drifts higher, and soon, even we may not be able to follow." They arrived at a vast circular hall, open to the horizon, its floor a pool of condensed mist. In the center hovered a radiant sphere, spinning slowly, trails of wind flowing through it like veins of silver light. Around it stood 7 elders, their robes billowing as though moved by unseen air. "The traveler has come," Aaron said, bowing slightly. "She bears the mark of the lantern's light." The eldest among them turned her gaze upon Elara, eyes the color of the morning sky. "We felt your arrival, child of the ground. The winds spoke of you before the storm even began." Elara touched the faint glow at her chest where the lantern's fragment rested. "You know of the light I carry." "The light you bear," said the elder, "once belonged to the heart of the sky, a force that bound the winds, the land, and the stars in balance. But the heart is fracturing. The storms grow restless because its song is fatting." Elara felt her breath catch. "Can it be mended?" "There is a place," the elder replied. "The mirror of winds, hidden in the uppermost currents. It reflects the truth of all that flies and falls. To reach it is to face the wind's memory and one's own. Silence followed. Even the air seemed to still, listening. Aaron stepped closer, his voice low. Many have sought the mirror. None have returned. It's said to dissolve all who enter, leaving only their echoes behind. Elara looked toward the open sky beyond the hall. Then, maybe it's not meant to destroy, but to reveal. The elder nodded slowly. You speak as one who listens to the wind. Perhaps that is why it chose you. She raised her hand, and a sphere of shimmering air formed in her palm, a small crystal containing a swirl of blue light. This is a sky seed. It will breathe with you in places where air forgets to exist. Guard it well. Elara accepted it, feeling the gentle pulse within. I will. That night, Aaron met her on one of the upper terraces. The city glowed softly beneath them, its lights like constellations adrift. The mirror lies beyond our realm, he said, his wings folding tightly behind him. Once you cross that current, even the wind may not know your name. Elara smiled faintly. Then I'll have to remind it. He looked at her with quiet admiration. You carry courage lightly. That's rare among those who walk the sky. And you, she said, speak as though you envy the ground. Perhaps I do. He paused. Promise me something if you find the heart of the sky. If you hear its song again, tell it that the winds still remember. I promise, she whispered. When morning came, the city gathered to watch her depart. Elara stood at the terrace's edge, her glider gleaming with dew and light. The sky seed hung around her neck, glowing softly in rhythm with her heartbeat. Aaron bowed his head as the wind began to rise. May your path be gentle, he said. May your sky endure, she replied. Then she leapt. The wind embraced her like an old friend, lifting her higher than she had ever flown. Below her, the city of wings shone in the sunrise, a dream built upon faith and air. Above her, the sky deepened, growing clearer, thinner, until stars began to flicker even in daylight. And there, shimmering in the distance, waited the mirror of winds, a vast, radiant veil, alive with shifting reflections. Within it, she saw fleeting images, the garden she'd left behind, the Leviathan's glowing eyes, and faces she did not know, yet somehow recognized. The sky seed pulsed faster. The wind began to sing. Elara tightened her grip on her glider's handles and whispered, for the light, for the world below, for what waits beyond. And with that, she soared into the mirror. Part 4. The Mirror of Winds. The moment Elara crossed the mirror's surface, the world folded. Light shattered into rivers of color. Sound turned to vibration, and the air itself began to hum. For an instant, she felt her body dissolve, not painfully, but as though she were becoming part of the wind itself. Her glider flickered out of form, and the currents of the mirror carried her weightlessly through an ocean of moving air. All around her, reflections swirled scenes, that weren't quite real, yet not entirely illusion. She saw herself walking through the garden of eternal whispers, her hand touching the silver petals of forgotten blooms. She saw the Leviathan's eye gleaming beneath the storm. She saw the lantern, still glowing, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then a voice. Elara. It was soft, like a sigh through the clouds. Familiar, yet distant. She turned toward it, but there was no figure, only a shimmer in the air that bent around her, forming the faint outline of wings. "Who are you?" she whispered. "The one who remembers what the wind forgets," the voice said. "You carry the heart's light, and it carries you. But before you reach it, you must face the weight of all that drifts behind." The currents around her shifted, and suddenly she was falling, not down, but inward. She landed on what seemed like the surface of a vast, invisible lake. The sky above reflected perfectly below, so that she stood between two horizons. Every movement sent ripples across both skies, and in each ripple, a vision formed. She saw herself as a child beneath a willow tree, watching stars between the branches. She saw her first journey, the night she found the lantern in the ruins by the shore. She saw her friends, her fears, her moments of doubt and hope, all carried on the wind. Elara knelt and touched the reflection nearest her. It trembled, and the voice spoke again. "Every traveler of the wind must know what anchors her heart." "What do you seek, Elara?" Her voice was steady. "I seek to mend what is broken. Then you must understand how it broke." The sky dimmed. A storm of shadows swirled across the mirrored air, not made of wind, but of memory. Within them, Elara saw the rise of the storms, the shattering of the skies, and a figure cloaked in light turning away from the world. The voice grew softer. The heart of the sky was once whole, until those who guarded it forgot why it was made. They sought control over the wind, not harmony with it. And so, the balance fell. Alara's chest ached. Can it be healed? Yes, but healing is not power. It is surrender. To mend the heart, you must give it what it has lost. A wind lifted her gently upward, and the reflections shifted again. Now, instead of memories, she saw places, the garden, the city of wings, the forests below, all glowing in strands of light, connected through invisible threads. They pulsed with the same rhythm as her lantern. And then she saw it, the heart of the sky. It hung in the distance, vast and radiant, like a sun made of swirling air and starlight. But it was fractured, great cracks running through it, leaking streams of light into the void. Each fragment drifted in slow motion, as though trapped between life and dissolution. Elara's breath caught. "It's dying." "Not dying," said the voice, "waiting." The winds gathered around her, shaping into a spiral that carried her closer to the heart. She reached out her hand, and the sky seed around her neck began to glow, responding to the same rhythm pulsing through the fractures. But then, a sudden surge of cold swept through the air. The calm currents turned jagged, and the mirror began to darken. A shadow formed, enormous, formless, and alive. It was a creature of pure storm, a being made of lightning and rage, eyes burning with the fury of torn skies. "The Tempest Warden," the voice whispered. "The guardian of the broken heart. It tests all who come to see if they are worthy." The creature roared, its voice a shockwave that cracked the mirrored air. Elara's glider reformed around her instinctively, wings of light unfolding. She gripped the handles and soared upward, narrowly avoiding a spiral of lightning that struck where she had stood. Wind screamed around her, alive with chaos. The mirror no longer reflected. It shattered with each gust, fragments of sky whirling past her like glass. Elara steadied her breath. "I don't want to fight you," she said aloud. "The heart needs peace, not more storms." But the tempest Warden lunged, and the storm swallowed her. She spun through blinding light, her glider straining against the pull of the wind. Every instinct told her to resist, but then she remembered the voice's words. Healing is not power, it is surrender. Closing her eyes, she let go of the glider's controls. She spread her arms wide and allowed the storm to take her. For a moment, she was weightless, suspended in the heart of the chaos. Then something changed. The lightning dimmed, the roaring faded. The Tempest Warden's eyes, once burning with fury, softened, turning from white to pale blue. The creature spoke, its voice low and resonant. "You did not fight the wind, you became it. The heart remembers this." The air around them stilled, and the creature dissolved into light, its essence flowing toward the fractured heart. The cracks began to glow brighter, threads of silver weaving themselves across the wounds. Elara watched in awe as the heart's pieces drifted together, pulsing with new rhythm, like the breath of a waking sky. The voice returned, now clearer than ever. "You have done what many could not." But to restore the heart fully, one last offering is needed, a bridge between light and memory. Elara touched the lantern at her chest. Its glow pulsed softly, almost knowingly. She lifted it toward the heart. "Then take what you need." The light within the lantern flared, sending waves of golden air through the sky. The heart absorbed them, and for an instant, Elara saw glimpses of all her journeys: the garden, the Leviathan, the city of wings, even her own reflection smiling through the wind. Then the light consumed everything. When the radiance faded, Elara found herself standing upon a calm expanse of cloud. The mirror was gone, replaced by a vast, open sky filled with drifting islands of light. The heart pulsed high above, whole again, glowing with tranquil warmth. The wind brushed against her cheek, carrying words she could barely hear. "Thank you, child of light. The sky breathes again." Elara smiled faintly, tears shimmering in her eyes. "For now," she whispered, "I think I finally understand." Part 5. The Sky Beyond the Sky. The world folded inward and then bloomed outward. For a moment, there was no up or down, only shimmering fragments of light swirling like living memories. Elara floated among them, her body weightless, her thoughts scattering like petals in the wind. She looked around. The clouds were mirrors now, vast, translucent veils reflecting scenes of her life. The forest, where she first found the lantern. The river, where she listened to the whispers of time. The garden of eternal whispers she had just left. Each memory shone softly, as if the skies themselves remembered. Then a voice, calm and resonant, echoed through the light. "You have traveled far, wanderer of dreams." Elara turned. From the brightness emerged a figure, woven of wind and light, neither man nor woman, but something ageless, draped in threads of starlit air. Their eyes were like twin horizons. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I am the keeper of the sky beyond the sky," the being said. "This is where all paths of the wind return, where dreams that rise find their true form." Elara's heart trembled. "And why have I come here?" The keeper extended a hand, and the air rippled around them, forming an image. A vast ocean of clouds stretching endlessly, dotted with floating isles and radiant orbs. "You came because the winds called your name, because the world below is fatting, and it needs the courage of one who remembers the light." Elara hesitated. "The light? You mean the one within the lantern?" The keeper smiled. "The lantern's flame is not a tool. It is a reflection of you. It burns because you have carried wonder, kindness, and courage through realms where few dare to wander." Around them, the mirrored clouds began to shift, showing countless travelers from ages past, explorers, dreamers, guardians, each carrying a spark of their own. All who reached this place faced the same choice, the keeper said: to return and carry what they have learned back to the world below, or to stay and become one with the wind forever. Elara's breath caught. She looked at her reflection shimmering in the air, the girl who had walked through forests of whispering leaves, who had crossed rivers of memory and danced with storms. She thought of the lantern waiting for her, of the warmth it brought to lonely hearts. "I cannot stay," she said softly. "The stories aren't finished yet." The keeper's smile deepened, like dawn unfolding. "Then take this gift, traveler of clouds." They touched her chest, and a current of silver wind surged through her. Her heart blazed, not with fire, but with a radiant pulse that connected sky and earth. "The wind will remember your name," the keeper whispered. "And wherever it blows, the world will listen." The light around them began to fade, dissolving into 1,000 glowing threads. Elara closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, she was standing atop a vast floating island bathed in sunrise. The sky stretched forever, crimson and gold clouds drifting beneath her feet. In her hand, the lantern flickered, its flame now swirling with soft white and blue light, as if carrying the memory of the heavens. A breeze brushed her cheek, whispering, "Journey on." Elara looked ahead. In the distance, she could see faint outlines of new realms, a city woven from glass, a sea of stars spilling into the horizon, and a bridge made of moonlight. She smiled quietly, with the calm certainty of one who had seen the truth beyond the clouds. She took a deep breath, raised the lantern high, and stepped forward. The winds swirled around her, lifting her once more into the open sky. And as she drifted onward through golden mist and shimmering air, her laughter mingled with the sound of the world awakening. And so, dear dreamer, our story drifts to its gentle close. Elara's path continues beyond the horizon, carried by winds that whisper of new worlds, unseen and waiting. May her light find you wherever you rest tonight. If her journey stirred something within you, let your heart leave a trace. Share your thoughts in the comments. What part of Elara's adventure stayed with you most? And if you wish to travel beside her again, subscribe to the channel and let the next story find you beneath the quiet glow of your evening light. Your presence helps keep these dreams alive. Until we meet again among the stars, good night, and may your dreams carry you beyond the clouds.